You might want to sit over here, or I'll sit over there. Come over here, Dana. What? One direction. Okay.
I see no food. Sit in a chair, Jeff.
Thanks.
What was whose idea was to get back together and do the show?
Those old band boys. He owns a club in Ingram now. And he got in touch with everybody. Best they can make it. Yeah, that'd be fun.
You think Rocky will be okay to play here?
Oh yeah, I imagine he will. He plays anyway around Austin quite a bit, from what I understand.
Like, how did y'all start the name, the 13th floor elevators? How did that originate?
That was Tommy's wife, Tommy Hall's wife.
Clementine or whatever?
Yeah, Clementine. Just a name she thought of. Wasn't any real purpose behind anything, just unusual names in that era.
The 13th floor elevator is usually not there.
Yeah, 13th floor elevator isn't on the building. 13th floor is not in the building because of superstitions.
Did you get the title of Bull in the Woods off the chewing tobacco? Or was that something?
Yeah, kind of.
Like, what is a slide machine?
Well, it was a political song. People mistake it for rigs or, hypodermic syringes. A lot of people thought that's what it meant, but it wasn't. It was a political idea at the time. And only Pal St. John could explain it because he's the one that wrote it.
Who was he? He wrote
He
slide machine. You don't know. Can't do
He was a writer and harp player. He was going to University of Texas College, same time Tommy was, and he played with Mother Earth. And is in San Francisco right now, I think, still writing.
He never played with the band. He just wrote.
He played with a group called the Conqueror at that time. He started it actually, and then joined Mother Earth after that, Tracy Nelson. And played with them for a few years, and then they disbanded for a while, and he never got back with them. I think he's in San Francisco by Berkeley now, still writing.
Is Tommy up by Berkeley?
He's in San Francisco.
Like, what do they mean, like, been down south where they use the slide machine? Is it a political machine to get votes in?
I think it had something to do with that. It's been so long, I hardly remember what he told us when he wrote the song. It was something political, though. I remember that. A lot of people thought it was syringes, but it wasn't. Because nobody in the band was using them at the time.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this next question because on my album it has a skip right there, so I couldn't really understand the word. Like, is it Maltese or trucks or in the loads that they tow or something like that? What is that? Can you remember that?
Tandem trucks.
Tandem trucks. Smell the right there. You can't really hear it too well.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of your...
They probably did that when it was brand new.
Were you, like, the recording of these albums, were you just conscious of it being inferior recording as you're recording it? What were you, thinking of and stuff like that?
Well, we knew it was going to be inferior. All of them except the first one, which we flew into Dallas and recorded parts of in different studios around Dallas. And we were just hoping to build to a better studio, but it never got any better. They just kept us, in lesser studios, and finally they owned major stock in a Gold Star for a while. That's where we wound up doing the last ones. Some of them one of them with Andrus. And the first hit was done at Andrus Studios. You remember? Yeah, that was here in Houston. And East Everywhere was cut at his studio here in Houston. Do you remember where that studio was? I can't remember the
Broadway?
street. Broadway, yeah.
Is that still around today, or is that just something?
Well, I think he moved most of his machinery to Rock Springs for a while and was building a studio there, but then he gave up on that. And I think he's got his machinery back in Houston now, but no studio.
What, like, comparatively speaking, like, to all the recordings around then, and, like, whatever happened, I'm not sure how you record stuff, but, like, they talk of some, like, master tapes of your recordings, you know, what ever happened to them? Whatever, you know, you think you could...
Well, I've heard rumors that a couple of different people have got of them. Do you remember that one boy's name named John, something? Bartlett. John Bartlett has one in San Francisco, supposedly, and our drummer has one. But the...
John Ike?
Yeah, John Ike has one. And, I ran into Noel Ginther and Dillard a while back, and Bill Dillard, one of the owners of the company, had 3 of them, he said.
What, a master tape, just the whole album or something, or just...
The original cut, original tape done. Yeah, I know.
A bonfire.
Yeah.
Serious bonfire for all the children.
Would you like to see these albums out again, because it's just really rare to find them, they're just expensive. Would you like to see them out, like, on a public market and stuff?
Sure would. I mean, I'd be glad to see them out, but still probably wouldn't get a nickel out of it.
Yeah. Would you even want them out, even though you wouldn't get any kind of royalties from them?
Sure, as long as people enjoyed it.
It's kind of, you know, unthinkable just to have those records, you know, you worked on them, they aren't even made anymore and stuff.
Did Tommy do, like, I'm not sure what he did on albums. Did he do the background vocals?
He generally wrote most of the words and did background vocals.
Jug, did he like play the acoustic guitar?
He had, towards the end, got where he wrote some with the guitar. He was just starting to learn it when the group finally disbanded.
But he's just like mostly the writer and the singer,
Yeah.
background vocals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you just blow on the jug and that's what makes, like, you know, a bottle of Coke or something, you just go, you know, it makes that sound, or how do you do
Yeah,
that?
well, he tried several different techniques by blowing in it and getting the hollow sound, like, you know, a jug is originally blown in bluegrass music, and then just making different noises, using echo chambers with it, whatever.
Like, what other people influenced you around this time? Was it just mostly on your other self, or?
Oh, we enjoyed, I guess, the same groups everybody enjoyed in that era. Dylan influenced our music a lot, and we enjoyed the Beatles and the Stones, and then we listened to a few underground groups that weren't really popular in those days, jazz groups. And some early jazz like Thelonious Monk, Miles Davis, and a group called the Holy Motor Rounders. Just sort of underground music in that era.
Could you buy these records at every place, or what do you mean by underground stuff?
Well, no, you couldn't get them anywhere. We got them out of the University Co-op because they had a really sharp record, shop then that had a lot of music that wasn't really in the public eye.
But this is in Boston, right?
Mm-hmm. That's where we were living at the time.
Like, were y'all ever heavily into, like, Sid Barrett or something like that, the Pink Floyd?
They weren't actually out right then yet. They came out later.
67, 16.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly what year.
Would you say something about the picture on the back of Easter Everywhere? Drawing?
Well, I couldn't technically explain it to you. I wish Tommy was here so he could do that, but it was just, early Oriental art, and each room signifies a level of consciousness to a higher consciousness, highest consciousness, God consciousness, which is in the egg, if I remember right. the symbol of rebirth.
Which was in the what?
Each little room in the man,
Right.
Symbols the level of consciousness.
Where did he just come across that picture?
I found it in a book of Oriental art.
This is, do you feel like the acid helped you reach God? You were saying how early, you definitely believe that God had, made acid.
Well, I think acid helped enlighten me quite a bit, made me more aware at the time. Yeah.
What do you think about, God today, as maybe compared to back then? Do you have any different ideas, or is it about the same?
Well, it's the same, a lot, just more expanded ideas. Like, I don't try to categorize him as I possibly did then, because it was more limited understanding what I believe God to be. More of like church-oriented and just one definition.
Now,
It's hard to explain in words, really. No, not now. It's like I don't try to define it exactly anymore. Still believe in him, but I don't put any definition on him, really.
there's really no definition.
It's bigger than words.
Was Leland Rogers, was he one of the people who ripped the elevators off?
I think so. I think Leland was probably sharper than the other two involved, because he had been in the record business for some time,
Did he make money off of it?
Yeah, I think that what Leland did was he had a hand in black marketing the albums in mass quantities right before he split from the company, because he saw there was going to be a hijacking all the way around, and told us at the time to leave the company at the first opportunity, but we didn't listen to him. We should have. He was right. I think he was getting out of
Texas
it.
International Company.
Yeah, international artist, because he saw that it was going to be a hijacking of some sort, and so he made his money by black marketing albums. Got his share of it and split.
Was he just like an older kind of businessman?
Yeah, he had been in the music business for some time. He had helped Sonny and Cher a while back. His brother's Kenny Rogers of the 5th Edition. And he'd been in the music business for about, I think, 15 years or so, and they got a hold of it.
So he was experienced.
Yeah, been around quite a bit. He's still running back and forth between here and California, trying to get something going.
Between y'all and the elevators?
No, he keeps in touch with different ones of us from time to time. We hear from him, but we haven't had any dealings with him since those days.
How do you, I heard various reviews, your Live at Steel concert around 73 or something. How did you like that one? How you felt that one went over?
Well, one bad thing about it was there was no rehearsal time whatsoever. When the group got together, I hadn't seen Rocky in several years. I hadn't seen John Ike in about a year, and it was all by telephone. And we met that night, and the memory of the teams was pretty thin. Everybody was changing in different places because a lot of our material, had. Well,
did y'all write it down, or was it memory?
It was done by memory at the time. The words were written down when Tommy wrote the lyrics, but the music and changes were all by memory while it was fresh with us.
It's not like old Janis Joplin once said, you don't write the music, you just make it up.
Yeah, sort of that. Just did it by feeling, spontaneous, a lot of it.
You all gonna try to get it together a lot better before this next concert near Kirkville?
Well, at least we're gonna have a few days to rehearse. That'll be. We ought to be able to work up enough teams. We're not gonna be playing all that long. Just probably about 30 or 40 minutes per set. We're gonna do 2 sets, and I'm sure we can work something out. We'll probably do some Rocky's new stuff too.
Really?
Yeah. And what ones we can remember off the old albums.
What does postures mean? And what does it signify?
Well, it's just more or less axioms that Tommy felt people should live by, sort of to raise their consciousness.
That was just kind of pretty bold words, saying leave your body behind and stuff.
Well, no, he believed that. Actually, probably still does. It's
He leaves his body still all the time.
I don't know that he ever did. He felt like he was.
Do you feel like he
He believed in astral projection. He studied that quite a bit at the time. And like if he ever actually obtained it, I'm not sure, but he really put a sincere effort into it over many years of study. That was his ambition.
Like something you'll see in Doctor Strange comic books or something.
Yeah, well, he read philosophy by people like, you remember Labusang Arampa that wrote The Third Eye, and several other books by, you know him? And Gurdjieff, philosopher that studied old Indian and Egyptian philosophy. And Labusang Arampa was a Tibetan monk who was raised in a monastery, and by 14 he had left his body, and it was like it was astrally projected above the temple that he was raised in on a card, a silver card that was attached to his body and hovered in the clouds and everything above the monastery. And his fears were demons. Like he didn't know what it was. The monks in the temple taught him. Finally, these demons would run out and grab his card, and he would lose altitude or whatever and feel like he was falling, and they were going to rip him from his body. But the older monks explained to him that was his own self-doubt, and finally he was able to travel the cosmosis or whatever.
Reverberation.
And he reincarnated
Yeah,
himself.
reverberation stood for
His
doubt.
British.
Hesitation.
So he had to get rid of his doubt first.
Well, yeah, he also went far enough to find a previous existence where he was a doctor here in the United States in a previous life, and came back over here. I think it was somewhere in the southeast. I don't remember exactly what town or state, but found all his records and where he was born and his practice, where he lived and everything.
And the latest reincarnation is a British T. Labusang Arampa. T stands for Tuesday. Tuesday was the day that the Tibetan monk entered his body.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I read it, started reading it last year. Gave it up, I think it's paranoid.
Like Danny, what were you doing towards like the breakup?
Well, I came in after the first breakup.
Yeah.
Did it seem like a different group totally to you, Stacy, after Ike left?
Well, it was a lot harder changes to go through because of new musicians. You know what I mean? It was
one.
well,
Band going.
no, actually Benny Thurman, our first bassman, is stood right before that too. Like he had trouble with amphetamine, and we got Danny Galindo to play bass for us. But well, it's at the same time he started drums. Exactly right.
What is he up to these days?
He's in Austin. He was running a printing company for a while. He started a few bands around Austin. One of them named Storm, which was pretty popular for a while. And I don't know if he's in a band right now or not.
This Benny Thurman was the original bass.
He's
First
gonna be there
baseman.
too?
Yeah. He was a first chair violinist for Austin Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
He was quite a violinist. He played fiddle though more than violin.
Is he
Played
gonna play?
bluegrass and everything. Yeah, he
Is he
could.
gonna play that?
Yeah, we're gonna get him to play fiddle.
Great.
But he could play, listen to Mockingbird and stuff like that and make birds sing. When he played Orange Blossom Special, all the wheels that have air brakes and everything, you know. It was cool.
Is this being very much publicized, the concert?
Well, it's had about 2 days on the street in the Montrose area, and that's about it. Yeah, the rain hadn't got off.
What kind of crowd do you think you will see?
We're hoping to get a sizable crowd because of the art festival. Probably more than Cecil wants, really, because Ingram isn't all that big, and they're going to put it in the street out in front of his club. His club wouldn't handle but a few hundred. It'll be outside, but Ingram's used to that. They generally have their community affairs out in the street, you know. It's the old Ingram. The highway runs right through outside of it, and you turn off and go through the town, which is nothing. It's a grocery store and a post office and Old Dog Saloon now. It used to be the Pastime Club.
Do you expect it to go on anywhere from here, hopefully? If you met
No, not
people?
really. No, I don't think
kind
I
of
ever
fun
come
thing
over
to
this.
do.
Yeah, it's
Get together.
just something everybody enjoyed doing. Helped Cecil with his club. He thought it might help pull some customers.
Yeah, well. Could you explain about the man organizing his knowledge vertically and horizontally?
No, not really. That's where you
That-
need Tommy. That's, I'm sure, some form of expansion, though.
Yeah.
We see and all that.
As high as you can get and as wide as you can get from it.
Like, what was some like the most, mystic visions that you had when you were on acid?
Well, it's hard to say exactly. I just remember, like, when I first started taking acid, I guess the strongest visions I ever had were kind of bad, actually, but they could have been because of my background and the way I was raised and everything. But, like, most mystic vision I ever had was concerning a show we did here in Houston Theater and around, and I'd taken some acid. I hadn't had any for quite a while. It was a super strong dose, about 1,000 mics or something. And we had to do a concert, and all of a sudden everybody started glowing. I had about a foot of light, like a neon light around them in the room.
Neon.
Yeah, real bright. Everybody started glowing white, and I freaked out that I was going to die or something. I'd had some bad trips before, but nothing like this, And then everybody turned into wolves. And I thought that our band was evil because of some of the things we'd advocated. We had had a controversy going on quite a while about advocating drugs and so forth, and mixing it with religion, because I felt like that was pretty dangerous ground to tread. And Tom and I were arguing about that quite a bit. But anyway, I got on a bummer about it, evidently. And I was trying to escape the room. I don't know what I was going to do, but I was going to get out of there. I didn't want anything to do with it because everybody turned into animals. And then all of a sudden there were angels, and I couldn't move my body anymore. I lost just physical feeling all over, and I was laying on the floor, and everybody turned into angels. And everybody in the room was the judge of my trial to decide whether I was worthy to enter heaven or hell, because it was absolute. I was going to die anyway,
Yeah.
And there was one good angel, and I felt like I'd been there before many times, not just once, but I'd been in this circumstance with these same people. And the whole time that I was there, I was...
Really, you hadn't you? You've been playing the band.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about with these cosmic spirits.
Yeah.
As judges, I knew who they were as people, as mortals, but I knew that they didn't realize what role they played in my existence on this earth. And this one angel told me anyway that 2 or 3 different events were going to take place in my life, and every one of them came true within 2 years.
Okay.
And that was
They
probably...
major events.
Yeah. They were major. One of them was the end of an 8-year relationship with a girl I've been going with. One of them was when I was going to the penitentiary, and I went to the penitentiary. And the third one hadn't come true yet, and I don't hope it doesn't. But it was really a mystical experience. It was like at the time I knew without a doubt it was true. There was no denying it. And I even tried to convince myself when I came down a week later, it took me about a week to get off that trip, that it was all just a bad experience on acid, and I didn't pay any more attention to it until these events would take place, and then I would remember, because it's always with me. I always will remember that experience. And I had 3 or 4 like that concerning the group getting together. They were on a lighter scale about the fact that the timing and everything, it seemed like it was meant to be, and then we had some musical experiences that are hard to explain with words, about timing and so forth when we were playing. That was just like there's no way I could explain it. It's just something really magic in the group.
Yeah.
When we played, that I could feel it was like a power that I've never experienced before or since.
That's what the Beatles say, that they felt some kind of magic in their relationship between them 4 and stuff. It's just...
It was some kind of musical communication or something that was just extraordinary as far as anything I've ever experienced.
Were y'all playing on acid most of the time?
Yeah, we did all our shows and all our recordings on acid.
Do you feel like there'll be a lot of people on acid after this? At the
I doubt it. I don't think acid is around all that much anymore. Certainly not the degree it was then. There's still people eat it, but not like then, you know.
Do you feel like it was the answer then?
I think that it was a major purpose, had a major purpose in mankind, and I don't fully understand why. I don't think that it does anymore. I don't think that people have the same reactions or it has the same effect on people now, possibly because of the culture or the change or whatever's taken place, but it was definitely different then.
Seems like then is everything, so new. Comparatively speaking, now there's so much doubt filled in everybody's mind about the drugs and about people flipping out and stuff like that.
There was a lot more positive attitude concerning acids, mescaline then, I think, than there is now. On a mass scale, anyway.
When did you start doing heroin?
About the time the group started breaking up and everything, I got on amphetamines for a while. Speed, because I felt like it brought me down. We were all a little bit blown out because after a few years of that, everybody was pretty spacey. And I started noticing that Rocky was having a really bad time, an exceptional bad time with it, and I got leery of it because the bad trips I started having were more frequent. Like I could count in 1 out of every 5 being a really, bum time. And so I got where I didn't trust it or didn't trust the advocation of it or whatever, except for select individuals, that were profiting from the use of it, and I saw that it was deteriorating the group. So I started backing down then, and but I still had sort of a bad grasp on self-confidence or whatever, and plus some troubles that were bothering me at that time of my life, and I used it unconsciously as a crutch, just like, people drank or whatever, and got involved with it that way, unintentionally, until it really had a grip on me, and then I just switched to heroin because the speed had turned me into a nervous wreck, and the heroin calmed me. And it was just a long bout of not snapping, really.
Didn't the heroin calm you too much?
Yeah, way too much. It got a hold of me.
Isn't heroin really expensive or something?
Yeah, it really is.
How did you get by? Was this off the money you made from your gigs and stuff?
Well, no. It's like I really knew enough people at the time because of our music and everything that it wasn't all that hard. It wasn't unavailable for a long time. Plus, I could score for somebody anytime I wanted to and generally stay stoned, But I didn't have to steal or anything like that for it, Worst thing about it was it just made me totally non-productive and non-creative for a long time.
So
you have to start playing the guitar all over again.
Yeah, it was sort of like starting all over because I lost about 3 years with it.
Who says you're nice and calm and easy to get along with? It's so expensive.
Was your mom aware of all this stuff?
Not till it was over. Right at the end.
I had a question about the relationship of objects, but I just want to ask that since Tommy's not here.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of the philosophy you need him to explain because that was his
Do you
brand.
expect him to be here?
Sure hoping so. Not positive though. He's the one person not sure of really. That and if Rocky flips out, that'll be the next thing and doesn't show up. But I think they'll probably go.
Do you feel like you would recognize him today? Tommy, yes.
Oh yeah, I feel certain I would.
Was the group breaking down? What was this like? What do you think of the Woodstock experiment and stuff like that? That these people, that was going on.
I thought it was a good thing at the time, good idea, and I was really fascinated by it at first. But I think anytime you put large masses of people together, you're going to have, destruction and hysteria and whatever, And it's proved to be a pretty bad effort most of the time since.
Wasn't Monterey Pop Fest one of those big things? Wasn't it kind of like the first one too?
Well, I didn't really attend any of them, but yeah, I think so. I think it was probably one of the most
freshest, it was
successful.
Everybody was on the house.
It seemed like it was one of the easiest going ones without hassles.
I mean, didn't it just rain a whole lot at Woodstock and stuff?
Yeah, it was really bad. Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Tony?
It was terrible. There's no way to get out of the rain.
Hello, Tony.
Well, how do you?
Oh, we're having an interview.
Interview time, huh?
Yeah.
Was tried to hide basically about people in the 60s movements who really weren't getting into it, but acting like they were,
Yeah,
really straight conservatives.
Yeah, that's what it was about. It's about a girl, just like a sort of a mix between a girl that Tommy knew at the time, I think. And that's what she symbolized.
She just couldn't get into it.
Sort of just going along with fad and trend and whatever,
Right,
but really had no purpose in it. There was quite a crew of those kind of people during that era. Still are, of course.
In anything, they always get, there's those kind of people get involved. Kind of take the purity out of it.
Like, when y'all went to San Francisco and stuff, were y'all playing at the Fillmore?
They would put it the Fillmore and Avalon.
What impression did Bill Graham give on you? Because a lot of people signify him as being a rip-off.
Well, Bill Graham struck me as sort of a hardcore character, but I always respect him from a business standpoint and his taste in music, you know. But he was sort of a standoffish cat and never did talk much more than just greetings, you know, hello.
Have you ever seen that film of it's like Fillmore East or the last days of the Fillmore or something?
Didn't see it, I wanted to. I didn't go see it.
He just seems like
How are you doing?
he just seems like a real motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a pretty strange dude, he really is, but he sure is a good businessman.
Yeah.
We're just chatting.
What was happening like
Yeah,
in California,
Oh,
like when y'all were out there playing? Was it just, about the 60s and all that? Was it quite a lot ahead, here, this area?
Well, I think they like to believe that,
Yeah.
but they weren't.
That's
you know?
I know. I was kind of finding that out.
It's like their culture had definitely been into drugs more so, I think, at the time. And it was like it was more advanced in senses. But I don't know, I didn't have a freshness that Texas had too. It was more washed out. Like one of the things that disappointed me when I first got out there was walk I took down Haight Street, which was supposed to be where all the beautiful people were at the time, and I didn't see anything but derelicts and dope fiends running around the streets freaked out, and shot up and whatever, begging money off people, and it wasn't anything like I was looking forward to seeing. It didn't have the freshness Texas did at the time.
Did it kind of disappoint you, really?
Yeah, it did kind of disappoint me, and but I don't know, it disappointed me. That's what I say about
Did
it.
the rest of the group feel the same way about it?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody did.
I'm kind of glad to come back.
I mean, we were interested in the culture and everything, and to see it all, naturally.
You'd
and
heard
be
so
able
much
to
about
fight
it before going there.
And there were a lot of really groovy people there and everything, but it was just different. It was like, although they had been into drugs possibly considerably longer, they weren't more spiritually sincere or more, I can't think of a word to say it, advanced necessarily than Texas was.
A lot of them were out to make money just like anybody else, right?
Yeah.
We were talking last time about William Burroughs
Mm-hmm.
and author of Naked Lunch, and I was wondering if what other authors have influenced your thinking. What do you like to read?
Oh Lord, that cover just about anything. I just like Oh man, I just like just about anything. I don't read anybody in particular. I don't have anybody that you could call a favorite author, really. Like I
Gordon
just,
Watson.
yeah, been reading some Watson, and of course, you know, just different books,
Were you
whatever catches my eye.
Were you into like the Herman Hesse and that kind of stuff, the Eastern stuff, more spiritual stuff?
Well, I read a couple of his books, but no, I never was into that time. It was more into Eastern philosophy. He studied philosophy. He was a philosophy graduate, but I never did spend that much time with it.
Well, like, what do you mean, like Easter everywhere?
Well, his idea was to combine Eastern and Western religion in a way that exposed it to everybody, you know, the similarities and what ways they coincide, just because they might have had different words. A lot of the ideas were actually the same. They were just worded different. He was trying to combine them into one idea.
What are your religious beliefs now, or do you
Well,
have any different?
I believe in God the same way I did then, just like I was telling him earlier. No definition. I don't have any exact, I'm not a member of any particular faith, if that's what you mean or anything. I still believe in God. It's a personal thing.
What do you think of Jesus Christ?
I believe in him.
You believe that he was more than just a good preacher or whatever? You believe he was possibly the Son of God?
Yes, I do believe that. I believe it without a doubt he's the Son of God, the greatest mystic in the world.
Do you think that, I think you told us last time, that I like to ask again, you think that acid helped you see God or see some mystic revelations?
Yeah, well, I believe it expanded me. I don't know if you could actually say it, see God, you know, because not defining God, it would be hard to say that I've seen him, you know, and because I don't define him, really. But, yeah, I think acid really started me thinking about it for sure. And less defined terms. Like before that, all the religion that I'd had was just through the church and the way I was raised. And the ideas that acid gave me were much more expanded, you know what I mean? And the words took on new connotations.
Right, you just accepted what you've been taught before,
Right.
and then you could see it kind of for yourself.
Right. It meant more. It's like when I was a kid in church and they told me the kingdom of heaven is within you. I just took that point blank
Yeah.
to be true. I never actually thought of the kingdom of heaven being within me, or within you, or whatever, you know.
Then you saw it for yourself.
Yeah. Saw the absolute reality of that statement.
Damon, did you feel the same?
I don't understand the question.
Like, did you feel that it brought you closer to God?
Oh yeah.
Did you get any, like, just, did it, like, did you get any heavy religious experiences off of it?
Yeah. When we were playing at Rice University one time, I felt as though I was watching what was going on, rather than having to be responsible for making the decisions about how I would play or what I would play. It was like it was totally second nature.
You could just
Oh,
do
yes,
it.
sir.
You could do it, but you were someone else.
Yeah.
What are some of the most incredible visions? Do you recall any visions that you've had that you could describe? Just,
He was telling us about one when they were playing.
I thought of another one that was kind of far out one time, well, two more. One of them was kind of a deja vu experience. I had a couple of friends fishing, and on acid one time, after I'd taken acid, I had a dream about a fishing hole, and we'd been fishing all day, and I knew when I went up over this hill and saw this place that I'd never been there before, and we hadn't caught a fish all day, that I was going to catch a fish, and I called them up there because I'd seen it on acid, and I threw my line out and caught a bass. Told them I was going to, and I'd seen that before. And then another time I was in a club, one experience I had, and auditory hallucinations or whatever, I heard these choirs singing in the background. All of a sudden there was all these voices and power that we weren't actually doing, you know, sounds. And it caused such power while I was playing that my guitar started floating up in the air. That sounds crazy, but it's true. It really was. I was pushing on it. I could feel it raising up in the air. And there was a blue light coming on the card up the instrument that was running all over my body, glowing.
Did y'all have like light shows and stuff while y'all playing?
Oh yeah, a lot of people, a lot of clubs then, that was sort of the thing.
Did that freak you out?
Only time it ever freaked me is one time I thought a light show was Hades when I was walking into it, because I was already freaked out. And I thought that it was a burning ball of fire and that we were entering Hades. But no, they never distracted me or anything. I always thought some were pretty interesting, really, if they were really good, you know. Still like to see one, a good one. Avalon had the best one I ever saw. They showed old films and art films and everything, and watercolors and all that all over the walls, all the way around the whole building, you know. There'd be like 5 or 6 projectors going at once, different effects. It was really, really fun to watch.
How often are y'all dropping at this time?
Too much. Finally, when it was readily available, it got to be nearly an everyday thing for a long time. Like for a year there, we ate it nearly every day. And then, other than that, I'd say at least once or twice a week. All in all, for a period of nearly 5 years.
As you, like you were saying, we're having bad trips, even though you're having bad trips every once in a while, you're still taking it.
Yeah, we thought that bad trips were caused by doubt and inner fears of ourselves.
So
and
you just tried to get rid of those doubts?
Tried to overcome it, just bow down and keep going, you know. But then finally I noticed that even when people weren't on bad trips, they still were on bad trips, if you know what I mean. They were so high, they were spaced out to the point where they didn't need acid, and they were still flipped.
Yeah.
When you said that like you still believe that like it's somebody's mental state before they drop it determines the trip.
Oh yeah.
They're like,
A whole lot. So I believe that.
I know
I
myself.
did at the time, really.
Yeah. Even sometimes like when you're just smoking, you know, you can like before you smoke, you're just a little bit worried about what's going on.
Yeah,
You
make
know,
you irritable,
because
kind of.
then after you smoke, you just start getting paranoid. You know, just
That's true.
get really depressed. So it's like.
I think, yeah, it just intensifies whatever emotion or state you're in at the time, really. If you're in a happy place and enjoying yourself, it intensifies it. If you're in a negative place, it does the same. Make it worse unless you're able, it relaxes you. Like, people have different reactions. She says it calms her down, you know. If she feels an intense place and it intensifies mine, you know, it's just however it affects you.
This is kind of an off-the-track question, but it's kind of about psychedelics. But do you consider the Grateful Dead psychedelic, or just country
Oh yeah, sure.
psychedelic? Just
Yeah, they were probably the most sincerely involved with acid at that time when we were out there than any band that we met. Really. Yeah, they'd been living in the mountains and taking acid with spiritual sincerity. You know what I mean? For
Are they really
some time.
sincere?
Oh yeah.
And they gave
That's what
many
we're
free concerts too.
Oh yeah, and benefits, and had a true concern for people in the scene itself. You know.
Are they like that anymore? Well, I mean,
I
they
think
kinda
so. I
realize-
think they've gotten into business so forth that they've made it, and they're not
concerned with.
well, they're more separate now. They're not a nucleus that they were then naturally when they were struggling to make it. They're more divided and in their own personal endeavors.
Are your feelings the same about them as the airplane and stuff?
Well, I never was that fond of the airplane. You know, I enjoyed the airplane's music a lot and everything, but at the time, like when we were out there, we were booked over them. Some, it was right before they really started making it, and I don't know, they just sort of struck me as amateurs in every sense of the word, really. I think they became, you know, quite a sharp group over the years, and they stuck it through, you know, they stuck it out and made it. But at the time, I didn't really enjoy them that much.
But wouldn't you say too also that would you think possibly that their lyrics were too concerned with violence?
Oh yeah, right. They were too much of a radical group, you know, and like kind of a junior jive-ass trip at the time, you know.
For instance, just
They were hitting aspects of it that were really unimportant, totally, you know.
seems like when other people were talking about, you know, like things like universal love and all, they were thinking about like kill the pig.
Yeah, and trying to convince everybody how high they were, you know, and all the everything that they saw like they were some mystic or something, you know. They just flipped out like everybody else.
Do you listen to any other kinds of music besides rock, or like jazz?
Well, yeah, I listen to it on opportunity. I don't happen to have any, really, but I enjoy all kinds of music, like I say, except probably opera, and that's only because I don't understand it, you know. But I enjoy classical music and jazz, country music, everything.
Tibetan trance.
I hadn't tried any of that.
You can buy it around some of the stores here.
You heard the album with the whale in the about 5 years ago, the whale sound?
Ah, Sound of the Humpback Whale?
Yeah.
I have that. That is fun. Yeah, I like buying this brewer. You can get this on some very cheap a lot of times too. Like there's some labels that are devoted like to just very weird stuff, you know, and they're only for like $2.98.
What is it, music wheels, Mike?
I think they played that on a speech class.
Oh, really? You heard that?
Yeah.
Is it blowing? You mean to make other spouts and stuff?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You get there's some very strange sounds. Also, are you into like the purely electronic music, some of it?
I've been getting into keys for about the past 6 years. The synthesizer really nice.
I mean, like some of the German stuff, it's like just, you know, all electronics, you know, just very strange stuff.
What do you mean by German?
Okay, well, like, there's a group, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called Tangerine Dream. And what it is 3 men in the group, and they all play different kinds of electronics. It's totally cosmic. It's like unlike anything you've ever heard before. Like, you know, the record store Cactus down there? Yeah. They have a very large selection of imports.
I think that the advent of the synthesizer is very significant. It's almost like the advent of the organ, you know, when that came along, to duplicate the various instruments, the violin, the flute. Synthesizers are really getting to the point where it's hard to tell whether or not it's a string section or a synthesizer.
It really is. You can imitate almost any instrument.
It's very, I think synthetic music is a very significant step toward what music is going to be in the future.
Could I possibly take a few of these and put them around in my neighborhood?
Oh, I love it.
On the other side of town.
Sure, I appreciate
That's
it.
a really wicked picture of you in the back of East River with that cigarette.
That would help us a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Secret talent. I want to have a nice smiling picture.
Should y'all just take a bunch of pictures?
Who was the guy Clark? Took the pictures. And he since, I think, gone into
The last time we were here,
the music business and been successful.
he's got the guitar stolen. He got me to
used
get that back. I guess
Well,
you could get it back.
No, I might possibly get it back yet.
Really?
You know, heard word of it around the neighborhood, and some people were calling me and told me that they're finding out where it's at. And I'm just sort of hoping to get it back.
Great.
You're going to play.
Hey, you just been going around with Stacy?
No, that's North Carolina.
It's just a new bar.
How'd you get used to North Carolina?
If it gets the other
My
one.
way of being jazz was at Trinity University in San
I don't think there's one on West Side.
Did you know anybody here?
Or else I-
And one night I was jamming in Austin.
A friend of mine gave me that finger there.
And just at that time, it was
Nice.
pretty
Yeah, really. One of the nicer gifts I ever had. Came in right on time, too.
Stacy, how did you get back to this with Rocky? How did all this come about?
Oh, Cecil, he used to be our band boy. He's a musician himself now. He's been playing in Tennessee on and off for the last 4 years now. He owns part ownership of the club in Old Ingram, and like he called everybody up. I haven't seen any of the group myself yet, even talked to him.
Hadn't talked to Rocky or?
But he's called them up. He's seen everybody, and agreed to get together. You know, John Ike and Ronnie both live there in Kerrville anyway. That's right by Kerrville, just right down the road, you know.
6 miles.
And so he wanted to do it because he's trying to get his club going, you know, and everything. He thought that'd be an added attraction for people coming to see the art festival. There'll be quite a crowd there anyway for the art festival. And he's just hoping to pull some business down there. I thought the free keg and free beer was a pretty nice thing, but I don't know how he's going to pull that off. If he hasn't a crowd at all, they may be out of beer by 9 or 10 that night, you know.
Yeah, sure, by 5 p.m.
But if people get there early, they can get a good buzz going anyway.
Yeah.
2 a.m. to 2 p.m.
That's 12 hours.
Y'all gonna bring the jug?
If Tommy can make it, man, his one person's doubtful he'll be there because he's in San Francisco, you know.
Is Tommy the one who played the?
Yeah. He's the one for the jug.
Seems like I don't see how you could get the breath to do that.
Get the what?
The breath.
Oh, yeah. I don't either. I think he hyperventilated.
Y'all, do you have any? Okay, so like, Danny's the only one you know, the only older you're in touch with.
Yeah, that I've seen in, well, about a year. Like I said, John Ike and Ronnie are in Kerrville. I saw them right before I moved to Houston. And they're already there, so it's, you know, easy for them to appear. And then Rocky is in Austin, Benny Thurman's in Austin, and it's just 90 miles from Kerrville, so it's no hassle for everybody to get together.
The sunrise, like when you're gonna miss it. You're gonna wake up one morning.
This kind of.
Bunny did that poster.
Oh really?
She told me to put this down.
Yeah, you're gonna miss me mine.
I didn't even know. I haven't
Running out of
seen the
ink.
album covers, the first 2 albums at all. He said, take the two of them off the dollar bill. I started running out of time, really. I was tired of filling in the blank space. He said, believe it, think it clouds with the sunrise.
A friend of mine wanted to ask you this question, Stacey, that do you know any good banjo teachers around town? Because he's starting the bluegrass and he has a banjo teacher now, but he can't feel like he's going anywhere.
Well, if you'd make a phone call to John Ike Walton in Kerrville, Texas, or if you call me when I go to Kerrville, I'll make a note to ask him. He used to take banjo lessons from a really good dude here in Houston. He lived here for a long time. And he's great. John Ike plays banjo nearly as well as he played drums. He plays like Buck Trent, you know, does all the key twisting and everything like that. And it was a teacher here in Houston. I think it was a highway patrolman or something.
Still around?
Ought to be still around. I can ask, but other than that, I don't personally know the banjo teachers. I know a few people that frail them, but anybody that plays banjo knows that can strum them, you know. It's not actually finger picking or anything. Banjo is a pretty rare instrument to come by. He frails it, beats on it like that. I imagine this guy wants to get into the intricacy of it, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he's got pretty far as it is. He doesn't feel like he's going anywhere at this point.
Could play Earl Scruggs stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Earl Scruggs.
Buck Trent.
No title yet to lose.
That's probably about the best teacher you can get if you just work out that stuff and take it from there. I don't know anybody any better than Earl Scruggs on the banjo.
So
John Ike always used to play that Foggy Mountain Breakdown. And
Yeah, that's what he
played.
So you're in the country pretty much now.
Getting more into it. I've always enjoyed listening to it, but I've never learned that much of it. I'm just starting to get into it, really. Plan to do more of it.
Are you at all into films?
Sure could be with some money.
But it's like 350s pretty much every time you get it. But I mean, like.
Oh, you mean into seeing films? I thought you meant making them.
Oh, well, would you be into that?
Oh yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Oh, I enjoy, you know, going to see things with interest, but I don't go to the movies all that much.
I was just wondering because, like, around that time, you know, experimentation, you know, like, the films were revolutionized and weird things started happening there as well as, like, in music, back when y'all were...
Mm-hmm. That's true. A lot of experiments. We went and saw Lenny the other night. Have y'all seen that? About Lenny Bruce, life story of Lenny Bruce?
I saw the film.
Yeah, that's the
Lenny,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that. I liked it. You know, I never knew that much about Lenny Bruce other than that he, you know, was a victim of, like,
Social.
yeah. How they picked on him for the obscenities that like, you know, sympathize with him.
He was sort of a fanatic, but he really had a statement at the time.
Yeah.
Had a lot to do, I think, with freedom of speech. You know, liberalizing the pressure at that time.
He was a heroin OD.
Yeah, I think he went through a bunch of stuff, though, speed and everything. He said that at first, probably gave him his gift of rap. Gave him talk.
And he had a collection of scripts from doctors all over the country. Anytime he did a doctor in the audience, you know, he'd talk him into something for his narcolepsy.
I imagine he got into junk, too, probably from all the dadgum arrest and social pressures, too, that were placed on him at the time. I imagine he was a nervous wreck, you know, because every time, for a while there, he did a show nearly, they'd arrest him, you know.
They had police in the audience.
And like he told him at the end, if you remember, he said he wanted to be his own lawyer, and the judge told him he couldn't, and he told him, well, I don't have any more money, I can't afford a lawyer. So why don't you just sentence him now? The judge told him, I can't do that. I suggest you get another lawyer.
They, you know,
Of course, though, at $100 a day or however much he was shooting, he probably could have afforded one too. You know, whatever.
Then how does it go to the time? About the point where the collection was afraid to hire him. He was starving again.
Yeah, but he was still doing that dope.
Danny, did you
That's what I meant.
Ever get
$100
any
a day will go pretty far.
did you know, you never, when did you like her?
Hallucination.
Yeah.
Anything I would trust.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did that until I felt like I'd done enough. About 3 years.
About when was
About
it?
67 to 69.
So you never got into the speed or any of that?
I do some speed up when we heavy load stuff, but that was moderate. And also we did build a roof on speed, which is why it's not as big as you.
Yeah, that's what he was
Stayed up. How long was it? 4 days and nights?
And 3 engineers for one session.
That's why it sounds like it does too. We never rested or slept or ate or anything. Just kept playing. Wear one engineer out and another to come in.
So you're not as pleased with Full of the Woods?
Oh no, man! It would be fine with me if that one was destroyed totally. Really. We were just trying to keep the group together more or less, and hoping Rock could get out of the hospital and get back
He did
together.
one song.
Pardon?
He did one song.
No, he did 3 on that. We did Never Another, Living On, and May the Circle Remain Unbroken.
Danny, is your favorite Easter Everywhere or the first?
Well, being the second drum, my favorite is the original music.
Right.
Because I would have an opportunity to play it or perform it. But wasn't able to be a part of putting it together, so it's always been something that I could never completely handle. So it's a challenge on it. But as far as the stuff that I was...
If y'all want to smoke, come on over here and go in this room, and I'll stand guard out here.
Well,
And it's stand guard for us.
well, yeah, and things have changed unrecognizably now. And usually, because like when I was at the Who concert, I was just very standing up. I walked out outside into the aisle where all the police were standing around, and I had a joint in my hand. I was just fucking I didn't realize I walked right by a policeman. Hit my shoulder, he goes, why don't you just go in there? She's like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's it changed. You said all y'all busted. Danny, you were busted once?
I've been busted. Well, I've never had a stick. Always got on. Busted 3 times. One time
What was that?
It was a gas in a way because they sat there and listened to the rest of the set. They were polite enough to stand by the edge of the stage and wait for us to finish the set, which I thought was a guess because I was worried about them coming up there and taking me off in the middle of the song. They waited until we got through the set and went down and said, come up with the, local police from Baytown, Texas. We have a room for you reserved in our Hilton. Come on down.
I had them jump up on the stage one time when I was playing and grab me
God.
right in the middle of Frange and
Let me take you to
and
Beat him with your
no, I handed one of my guitars, turned up full blast, and started screaming why he didn't know what to do with it. And they took me through the crowd, and like the crowd started throwing Coke cups and stuff at them, and sort of rushing at them and stuff, and they freaked out and pulled their guns out and back into the car, and it really upset this one cop, man. He freaked out because they thought they were going to mob him, And I was on acid and everything, I head spinning around, and he got me in the car, and he told me he was going to kill me. And so I'm going to take you outside of town, and I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to tell them downtown that you tried to take my gun away from me, punk. And he'd go like this at me, and I'd jump and see stars. And
Ah.
and I didn't think they were really going to do it, but I was so freaked out on that acid, man, when he turned out on the freeway heading out of Houston, I freaked out, and I started saying, wait a minute, man, can you talk about it?
Talk about fear.
Well, yeah, I freaked out of it. Probably the day I took me downtown, turned around, he just wanted to shake me up. He knew I was on acid.
God.
Gonna kill you.
Never thought you'd be glad to be going to the police station.
Oh, yeah, I was really glad, man. I was.
While we're sort of on the humor side, just since we've got you on tape now, could you please tell us the anecdote about the famous Dick Clark show, was it?
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what part.
The one about acting his the head of the group.
Oh, yeah, well, Tommy did that. We just appeared on his show, and came up and said, who's the head of the group? Tommy said, what do you mean, man? We're all heads.
Did y'all catch a lot of shit from that?
Well, it didn't go real well with him, but he let it slide because it wasn't anything he did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he didn't like the group because of it.
You're
And he was a pretty sour character, I thought, in real life. But as soon as that camera came on, it was all gleaming. This young, healthy, vibrant American, all-American boy,
What was he like off the camera?
Stern businessman. I mean,
Bill Graham.
he had everything going and checking on everything and was head dude, of his show. He kept it moving. He's quite a businessman, but not near as joyful as it seems. That smile is all show. You can believe that.
You said he didn't really like you, but I've heard, didn't you play his show very often?
We did Where the Action Is, which he had a part of, and American Bandstand. We did them one time once a piece. And it was as much for him as us. He didn't pay for it really. It was a real cheap gig. Like most of it involved promotion, group promotion. That's what we were getting out of it. And he was having an upcoming band on his show, so it was a mutual trade out. But they paid expenses, airplanes, and $500 I think for the show.
I failed to see him. Well, like I said, was it because you all at the time were concerned with things so far beyond that you when you really were big and could have been making just a lot of money, did you lose your money to these people because you just weren't concerned with it at the time, or what happened?
Well, we were just victimized, I guess, by youth more than anything. Just didn't have any real business sense. We thought we did, like we'd hire a lawyer to check contracts out, but the company got a hold of him and told him to tell us there were standard contracts, and the first thing we know, we're locked, stock, and barrel, and he owns part of us, our own lawyer. They'd bought him out right in the middle of the negotiation, and we signed a contract that was just locked us in, man. We weren't making any money. We'd signed our rights away, our royalties, and whatever.
When did you realize you didn't add on?
Well, we didn't ever actually want to go with the company. The funny thing about it was we signed a release to You're Gonna Miss Me to a fellow named Gordon Bynum, which was an independent record promoter here in Houston. And like we were already getting bites from major labels and everything, and we were wanting to negotiate with some major labels, but he jumped up and freaked out and sold that record to an international artist, which was two lawyers in Leland Rogers that had never been in the record business before, but wanted to get into it. That was their inspiration, more or less, just the thought of, well, you think this record go, you have to make some money. That's how the record company was started. And so when he sold our record to them, they put it out, and it was a hit, statewide hit, right away. So naturally, that gave us some degree of faith in them. So we agreed to go with them to sign a contract, and there was a national top 40 shortly thereafter, and we thought things were going to go all right. But that was the best promotional job they ever did. They never put that much promotion into it after that, and we couldn't get away from them. When they just snapped, they weren't what they claimed to be or promised, weren't going to do what they promised. It was too late. Like they never would come through when we had our equipment stolen. We went for nearly a year without any instruments to plow on or anything. Like we had to rent instruments to plow on and all this.
Were you that big then?
Yeah. It was insane, man. I mean, they wouldn't put any money out. They wanted to take it all in. You know.
Are you at all, in retrospect, are you at all bitter about what happened to you?
Well, I'm bitter about the financial aspect, sure. I mean, I feel like, should have had some money out of it, yeah. Because we put 5 years of sincere effort in it, work too. Because we did work on it, man. Did a lot of traveling, a lot of time invested in it. It was for nothing. I've never made a dollar out of it, so to speak, except what we were making on shows back then, and half of that was spent on traveling and buying our equipment. They weren't paying for it. We had to pay for all of it, So we didn't come out with any money out of it at all. I started out bitter about that, but other than that, no, I really thankful for the experience. It meant a lot to me.
What was the big experience?
Really was.
Well, so, but you all were just very, very young then.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have had something to do with it.
Too young and a bad choice of lawyers, I believe. But it had a lot to do with it, because I mean the men that made the money out of it, the company itself, they were just good businessmen, I guess, if you call that good. They were pretty sharp people, and they figured out how to make money and did it.
Wasn't there, when you found out what had happened, had they done anything illegal that you could have?
No, our drummers had them under suit going on 10 years or so. I don't know how long, since right after the group formulated, really. I mean, right after we were signed to them, he's had them under suit, and has never been able to pull a thing. The lawyers concerned. I've never seen a breakthrough yet on the case. I don't understand one thing. I don't understand why the ones that have the tapes don't make some more albums. Is one thing I don't understand, because they still seem to sell,
Oh, like I said, I paid $25 and $35 for your first and second album, respectively. And to me, it seems like there's still, at least in Houston, from what I've seen, a great demand for like your stuff.
Seems like that puts some more out. I really don't understand that.
You catch a couple of your stuff on like KPFT every now and then. You really will. And,
Oh, yeah.
I bet if somebody really wanted to make an effort to try to put an anthology together, they could do that.
Andy said on that program, he said that Columbia asked him to buy them, and that he couldn't give them the master tapes, but went out to Fonz buy them, a mysterious
That
Fonz.
60s and the
Yeah.
KO. They're.
yeah, I was very, very disappointed in that show. Because like, they said, like I was expecting to hear all this elevators. And I just told all my, I called up about 3 people. I said, just, hey, you gotta listen, they're gonna play the elevators, you gotta hear this, and here it was just on all Fever Tree.
Yeah, it was a Fever Tree promotion.
Fever Tree people when
Scott Holtzman, Holtzman,
What
yeah.
do you think of them?
Well, I've never really known them personally that much, so,
They were acting like they were in competition with y'all.
Well, they were acting like, that they were something big happening at the time, and they really weren't that much. I mean, they had that hit. It was sounding pretty good and everything, but...
San Francisco Bay. I still
Yeah, some system deal.
Really, there's no need for competition.
And I was down at the warehouse the other day, and they played 2 or 3 shows around town, and the guy said that so far he's heard the reports that the bands that played against were better than they were. Which is understandable, they haven't been together in a long, long time. But they don't seem to be doing that well right now.
Danny, you said that there's no need for
Well,
competition.
there's a place, there's a market for everybody as long as they've got the act for it. And I remember that competition thing. You live inside Washington Village.
Ah, yes.
Some of that.
He lives around, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
They live up
Right
the
across the street.
Yeah, we moved like about 3 months ago, about last March, something from the year. But for about, ever since about 16 years.
But there was kind of an animosity.
Yeah,
Right,
for the,
Right.
for the,
Who? No, I don't believe so. That's right around where we are, but right in that area.
you know, like Lloyd Carpenter and everything.
No.
They're probably figuring.
Between the groups at that time and from this central location. It really wasn't.
Danny, well, when you were back there playing, like when y'all first started out, did you feel competition, or did you feel like, well, we're just all working for art, we're all doing art, and there's, did you feel it or not?
Well, like talking about Scott Holtzman, we used to do some of the team shows and pushing the record on TV, and we'd bill at the same time with the big retrievers, or Holtzman would be around or something. It was kind of we'd get a kind of a snobby reaction from other people because they felt as though we were doing something that was
That.
well, I think they just didn't understand it,
It's just different.
and you fear sometimes what you don't completely understand. But heck, I was just learning it myself,
Yeah.
because I was coming in on it after it already started. I wasn't in on the inception, so it was kind of a learning process for me. But I just gave into it, committed myself to it, and found out what was going on as much as I could handle.
And you're glad you did it now.
Oh, made me into something that I wouldn't be otherwise, and I'm not that if I was doing that. So.
Are you anticipating a really good concert?
Oh, a lot of fun, more than that. I mean, we're going to get together a few days ahead of time and try to, work up enough material, revise it or whatever, to where it'll be suitable to the crowd. Like I was telling them earlier, at the show here at Lava Still years ago, everybody got together. It was the first time we'd seen each other that night at the show, bunches of us, and the memory of the music was a lot different in each individual, and all the changes kept popping up at different places and everything. It was really pretty sloppy, but we're going to try to keep that from happening this time and get together a few days in advance and see if we can, tighten it up.
Yeah.
It'll be a better show.
Are you at all worried about Rocky?
Him turning up?
Well, turning up on acid.
Oh, no, I'm sure he'll be pretty spaced, but he has been for years. He still performs and everything. We'll probably do some of his material. And knowing Cecil, I think Cecil will hog time. So I think he'll be there, you know what I mean? Because Cecil's put quite a bit of promotion to this, buying all that beer and so forth, and promoting it to not let it come through. The original big worry I had was that Rocky would disappear again, like he was done, always has done. It's like he goes to a show at the field, it's like it,
And walks
That's
on
why I
stage
was-
sometimes.
That's why I have a hard time keeping a group, because they get tired of turning up and no Rocky, and he just about has a couple ladies that are hired with him to travel all the time. Like, he won't be there. You never know if he's going to be there or not. But I think Cecil will see to it that he's there.
It's still doubtful about Tommy.
That's doubtful. I'm sure there'll be effort made, but I would imagine that's all that'll happen. Because they're paying expenses, for everybody to come. I don't know. I'm sure they would extend that to him, but who would come? I doubt it, but it'll happen.
Like, so, do you think there's any chance if we showed up that we'll be able to meet, like, Rocky and the other members of the group?
Oh, sure. They'll just be roaming around
It'll be
getting
kinda
drunk in the
casual.
street with everybody else. It's just going to be a big party, outdoor. Yeah, he's got a wife and baby now. Nana's from Kerrville, actually.
Rocky does?
He had a baby here early this year.
It's his first kid.
Uh-huh.
A young Eric Wolf.
Yeah. I think he has another kid here in Easton. I've never seen it, but it was a girl that he lived with for several years. I suppose that she has one of his kids, but I don't know for sure.
Wouldn't you think he was one of the most talented, distinct vocalists of anybody?
Still believe that. Still do. Yeah, you
You
bet.
always hear all the stuff
Hey,
about
that
his voice
voice
changing.
is
He was a dynamo that had more energy than nearly any white farmer I've ever seen as far as just sheer energy. I mean, like, man, when he screamed, it got you.
the way he could scream out like, "Where are you?" And
Yeah.
then-
None of that was ever captured on wax, in my opinion, either. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah, I mean, like, the real dynamic quality of his voice was never on wax.
That's something that always puzzled me.
You have to hear that live, because he has really got power.
You ever listen to the live album?
What were you saying?
I heard it here a while back.
Listening to the first album and listening to him perform live, I would hear that, but then when we get this too, like the intensity, at least for everybody, as far as his vocals are concerned, very insecure in comparison to what he would do when he was loose or what he did early before he got to the group.
Yeah, it sounded like he was shouting out more than the first time.
Yeah, well, something, too, that cramped him, though, about that was that Tommy's writing was kind of like trying to sing the encyclopedia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like to be soulful, and Rocky was used to rock and roll all his life, and then, stuff just from feeling and spontaneous movement with his voice. He used his voice like an instrument. But when he was having to pronounce certain words and so forth, like he's reading an encyclopedia or something, it was hard for him to be soulful.
Wow. But like, this, like just when you start screaming at the start of "You're Gonna Miss Me,"
Yeah,
that just kills me.
that just killed me too.
Yeah, an unbelievable range.
Uh-huh.
From his highest back to his lowest.
He could imitate people too, man. I mean, just to a T.
What
He
was
could
his
take
best
over people's
imitation?
accents. Well, he did a real taste of Mick Jagger and a real taste of Buddy Holly.
Okay.
He could do Buddy Holly real well. He could do bunches of people, actually, but those were two of his best. And he could take their accent and everything,
I would say definitely that he was a superior vocalist to Jagger, because
I think he was more versatile for sure.
Jagger really didn't have that much of a range. As far as going, like you hear the Stones live albums, they have like Richard sing harmony or something, and Jagger seems like he's just he can scream just beautiful. I mean, he can't really sing.
He was a master of magnetism. Jagger's faces and movements and everything, just his overall person.
Yeah,
one of the things that he contributed to his style of singing was when he was playing I think it was soccer or something, when he was a kid in high school, bit his tongue off, end of his tongue, and had to learn how to pronounce words again. I thought that was unusual.
We just saw a movie of his just last night.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw that. It was a strange movie.
Very
I don't know how to
strange.
take it.
I haven't seen it. What's it called?
Well, it was just for like a midnight movie. I'm sure it will be back. It's one of the regulars, around it.
I like some of the tunes in that movie. That
Oh,
Memo
that-
from Turner.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
The Hound Dog.
Yeah, there's one where it's just Jagger and an acoustic guitar, and he said, "Woke up this morning, somebody's knocking at my door, and he didn't mess around in my kitchen," or something like that. I said that was worth the price of admission, just to see him down there with that acoustic guitar doing the blues.
That was an unusual movie. I remember that. I saw it years ago in Austin.
Remember the blonde, German chick?
Yeah.
That's Anita. That's Keith's.
Richard's wife.
Right.
Yeah. He got busted here recently in Arkansas again. I couldn't
Oh
believe
yeah,
that.
for a knife and all that.
Some heroin too.
How did he just didn't show up for the court, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard any more about it. I haven't seen anything about it in the paper. I haven't heard how it all came out, but I just remember him getting popped.
That guy.
A year or so back. I can't remember when it was. Might have been. I think it was a drug bust.
It amazes me that Richard,
Richard gets hit a lot.
even though he's as big as he is, it amazes me that that guy isn't in jail yet because, you know, he's been.
Well, he did 4 months one time on his second.
Well, that
bust.
was in '67 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I don't know how many times it's been popped. Seems like about 4 or 5 now. I guess from getting busted in different continents. I don't know how, and money. Getting out of it. I don't know how to-
I
They always
guess
say
it's
how
something
they
you
do it.
wish you had more of when you were getting busted. Huh?
Yeah. Like, you can always use more.
But wouldn't you say that in a way you're really better off than the people who got your money? I mean, not financially, but possibly spiritually. That maybe.
I would hope so. That would be consolation.
Well, you know.
I saw him a while back here in town driving down the street. It was that unusual pull up to him. Chatted over a few beers.
Who's this?
Noble Ginther, Bill Dillard, the 2 lawyers that own that company. Dillard is in Nashville right now working for Porter Wagner. And he's involved in the studio up there, and he was telling me if ever got a group again, come up, we'll be glad to cut you quarters, you know.
What'd you say?
I said, might do that, you know, but I don't think I want a second round of it.
I can't believe it.
You do.
Quite a
Quote
bit.
the year. I think I said enough.
Oh, that was Larry.
Yeah.
Met Timothy Lear a while back, too, at a
Oh.
friend's house over here.
Really?
Yeah, and asked him if he wanted some mushrooms. He said, no thanks, I believe I've had enough.
He's saying some like interstate travel or something.
Yeah. What do you think about
Migration.
space migration and all that?
Well, I listened to a little bit of his show, but didn't think about it.
Yeah. I missed that.
Yeah.
I think it's really the only possibility left for this planet.
Well,
He doesn't give any means how to do that.
Well, yeah, but we got the space shuttle now, that's the only for that stuff. That's gonna make it real possible. But if when you think about it, if very nuclear war on this planet, it could, you know, it just may, totally,
Noah's Ark number 2.
Yeah.
Huh?
Noah's Ark number 2.
Yeah.
Not only that, but
Get
if
him some balls.
you really look at it, speculatively, it's really inevitable because even if there's no nuclear war and nothing like that happens,
Population.
there's only so much space, and though it seems like water's infinite, time passes and people are being born, and pretty soon, eventually, it may be centuries, but eventually we're going to have to leave.
Oh, yeah, they'll stop. They'll,
Spaceships, they're not giving-
having kids will be illegal at a point, you know
Yeah,
that.
that's gonna be the
And they'll start killing off the old and diseases probably again, or whatever.
Get one time.
Well, like
Yeah,
if they quit, how can the race go on if they quit having kids?
Oh, there'll only be
Just two
a
each.
select be allowed, at certain intervals. There's been so many die off, they can have so many kids this year,
That's very Hitlerian.
It'll probably be necessary though.
We still got a lot of rain.
What do you think about
Won't be enough food.
What do you think about, just like curious, what do you think about abortion?
That's a really hard thought. I believe in it myself. I'm not absolutely sure of it from a moral standpoint, but I think it's without a doubt sane. It's like
you do or don't believe it's better?
well, it's like I have mixed feelings about it, but I believe in it. Yeah, I think it's wise to have abortion.
Yeah, well,
Under
desirable to
circumstances.
just stop conception. But
Right.
You can't, rather than having a bunch of unwanted children.
It's better to have abortion.
Bringing up a kid
Almost
without a
impossible to
woman
think about
is
it. You're not
really hard on kids.
But
Don't
just
have
look
anyone
at all
to
the great artists, like say, look at John Lennon. He would say he was very unwanted kid. His dad didn't want him. His mother died. He suffered, the tortures of them. But out of all that suffering, out of all that pain, came all that great artistic expression. Perhaps where would it be? Where would it all be without him? So
He
you,
married a lady who aborted most of her children.
Yoko.
She had 3 or 4 abortions, I think.
Yeah, but still, it's something that I agree with you. I just
Yeah,
mixed emotions.
infinitely debatable.
Okay, let me ask you a
Yeah.
question, see what the response is. Is it all right to intentionally go ahead and let things develop and give it birth, the child, and make it our responsibility, the society's responsibility to take care of. Is that fair to society? Is that fair to other people? For somebody to make a mistake and conceive and bring a life into the earth and say, okay, I'm not going to take care of it here, give it to an institution, let the institution pay for it. Is that, that's
I think,
is that right?
Also, where is conception actually?
right. Well,
Like abortion is pre-birth, and we don't know where the vehicle, the earthly body
okay,
actually
see, I'm
takes.
going on the presupposition that it is alive, because there have been instances when they get abortion and the thing had struggled, made movements. And
Yeah,
whatever.
but a semen is a living
Yeah.
organism too, organism.
Well, it's
But it's certainly not a child until it's
true. Well, I would say this. I would say that if you did believe, say, that abortion is murder, and that is, debatable. They haven't proved there. They that believe one way or the other, that are very experienced doctors and what have you. I would say that it would be much more just to bring them into the world with, because, to a degree, you have to have a degree of compassion and love. I think that's the only hope for any of us. If everybody worries, say, injustice has happened to me. But if everybody worries about what is, every little thing, if you don't have a little, love and, compassion, then, we'll never get anywhere. And, I would say that it would be, if it is murder, but it hasn't, many people argue convincingly that it is, others argue convincingly that it isn't. But if it is, I would say it would be much more just to bring it into the world than to terminate what
fill out its own destiny, huh?
what could be, passing, his right pass into the universe.
Could be one of the sayers
You
of
know,
the
you children may get you confused all the time, and we read all the time about young children being spoken,
Right.
Yeah, and to be raised by the state and orphanage and everything, that's really a pity too.
Life is,
only hot sauce and stuff, and she finally dies and all.
life is very painful, like what was it, some group said, it's a bad, bad life, that I don't want to die in. So perhaps I've had more painful experiences than pleasant ones.
But nature's catching up with science. For a while there, nature made us super fertile like a lot of animals because there were so many hazards. Before, like 100 years ago, if a woman had 10 children, 5 of them might live to adulthood.
Right.
But today, with antibiotics and everything like that, better medical care, better nutrition, we still have the fertility that we had hundreds of years ago when we needed it. But now we don't have the death rate. So I think nature's beginning to catch up in venereal diseases. There's been a sudden
Well, in a lot of ways, look at the lifespan too. The lifespan
right,
is
well,
much
that's how
younger
nature's going
now.
to fight back. They're going to natural causes are going to sterilize more people and slow down the reproductive rate.
Kill 'em off
right
quicker.
Now it's in the balance
So,
is still messed up. They'll catch up.
You can see, for instance, how the population of India is just disastrous. What's happening over there. However, even so, I would think it would be unjust, even though it's a horrible situation there. I cannot see what they've done with a lot of them, just grabbing a man, handcuffing him, and taking him and forcing him.
Clearly, that's clearly
Yeah, Gandhi's done that. I heard that she just go into a village, just get all the males, round up the males, and you have her just round up the males, tie them up, and just forcefully take them to clinics and sterilize them where they can't. That's really.
That was probably the major reason for the downfall.
I think she was certainly that really. When you think of who would, she was supposed to stand for who was her? Well, he was
Mahatma.
Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi, who freed India from Britain. Only to have it, I don't think he did that, only to have it come back and, tell people I don't believe that, you should overthrow a corrupt, fascist, capitalist government and replace it with a communist totalitarian.
Same thing, individualism is right.
Despotism is, you're taking orders, if it's, you know, no matter what ideas behind it, if you're taking orders and then over meetings, doesn't matter whether they're flying the swap to handling system. That's just not the, like the airplane would be saying stuff like a,
down the wall.
yeah, they would be saying stuff like a, you know, kill the pigs, that's what they did, you feed them, but then when they got really heavy, the Maoism, they'd be saying stuff, you know, they'd be supporting what would be just another dictatorship, you know.
Well, they weren't
heavy
sterilized
dictatorship.
men who hadn't already had, I think, 3 children. If they had 3 children, it's forcibly vasectomy, you know. And
Well,
they were offering money to Indian women to come to clinics for IUD, you know. So they'd come in, they'd get an IUD, they'd go home and they'd pull it out and they'd go back in and get paid to get another one after they had another baby. Well, what are you going to do when you've got people who are so ignorant they don't realize the cause of their hunger and this?
Most of the problem in the world is ignorance. People just don't understand.
also, a lot of that has to do with the Hindu religion. They believe that all life is, you know, they believe all life is sacred.
Well, they're all starving and they have all these cows running around everywhere.
Right, they won't kill the cows because they don't, you know, if you're pure Hindu, I don't think you're supposed to go eat a bun or something like that.
But a vasectomy or an IUD doesn't kill anything.
Oh, right.
It had to be sort of pushed into. I'm all starved.
I think that would be the answer to the question. Preventative.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely
rather
think they
than
should.
abortion.
Right, I definitely believe in just mass, you know. And education, a lot of us do just such ignorance, you know. And I think there should be, you know, a lot of money spent on like programs for the prevention. And, you know, but, you know, to
Right.
me, an abortion is just very undesirable. I think that's,
Yeah, sure, man, you're right.
Stacy, do you think it'd be too much trouble play the host?
I could play a tune or two. Like, you know, I'm mainly play with people.
It's like jam on the banjo or something.
But I really don't like to play that much myself. Just, you know, by myself, I like to play with people, but I'll play a tune or so.
what do you think about this?
Not sure.
You don't need to show. Come on.
Here,
That's an interesting, that's a vulnerable subject.
Yeah.
You wonder, you know, being a man, you wonder whether I'm sure responsibility to make that decision, kind of comment. So,
Right. Yeah. It's very disturbing, you know. So, you know, to talk about this. What do you think about
We turned it down the other night, huh?
Halloween? That's my really good as I bet you want to share.
Sure.
Hold on.
I think we'll punch this towards that little piece back, right out.
Oh, we'll turn it around now.
They might not, I'll just put it on.
What I'm gonna be on
Let her rope. There was I remember used to do that in Jeep. Anything you want us to do right now? Any of y'all play? Got another guitar.
Wish we had that sound song.
God, that's one of the most intense, I think, Dylan songs.
Yeah, I was going to take that one.
Yeah.
Well, Righty could really do good Dylan, man.
I know the reason you talk behind my back.
Yeah, I couldn't remember all those verses.
Okay. Oh, Danny, something I want to ask you. We were just talking about abortion. Another issue I was just wondering how you felt about. Do you believe in capital punishment?
Definitely.
Neither do I. Right, neither do I. Also, don't you believe that although murder is perhaps the worst sin here on earth, that there's a possibility for that person's redemption? He can be put to a useful life.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if a person kills another body, why give it to him? You can just kill him back.
Well, but I would take it. But I would, take it more from a point that, thou shalt not kill. It's like, I was reading a novel recently in which one of the characters says, does that mean that because somebody breaks that they should be broken to punish him?
Well, it did mean that before in the Old Testament. It was
Right.
eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Right. Well,
But since salvation has come along, amazing grace, sympathy, not necessarily sympathy, that's the wrong choice of words, which is salvation.
well, but I would think that, any person after he commits such a thing still has within him the chance of salvation.
Chance to start again.
Yeah. I would say that he's stained himself. Why, I think that somebody who would kill him would stain their souls, I mean, I would say why, perpetuate something like that.
Yeah. What gives the society the right to do the same thing you're going to do to somebody?
Right.
Well, because they say, the people that advocate capital punishment say it's because it's preventative. That when somebody's getting ready to, you think about it though, if somebody's getting ready to kill somebody and they got any sanity left at all, then kill them.
If someone's getting ready to kill you, you ban them, would you kill them?
Yeah.
Right, but that's in like a,
That's not what it
so,
is.
heat of the deal. That's not like a capital punishment where the guy's bound up.
Right.
That's the thing that kills me is just the absolute how any executioner could care. I can see, in battle. Of course, I believe, in battle that's one thing, but I can just, how anybody could just carry out with somebody just bound up and just, go ahead and push the button and pull the switch or
The
whatever.
reason that they say this is because that preventative thing is somebody's getting ready, or especially for premeditated, that if they think that they're getting ready to, if they get caught lose their lives too, that there's a possibility that they won't follow through. That's the argument that the state puts forward. There's, some validity to that.
Still, if someone is on the point of
They get ready to
murder,
make it real nice on the manager about the new ruling in Texas, I think it's Texas. I don't know if
Texas
that's-
and Oklahoma.
Yeah, lethal drug.
Do what?
It's gonna make it really easy on everybody.
Poison.
Just take one last fix and say goodbye.
yeah, but still, it's like I was reading Dostoevsky, and he was, at his time, the new thing was the guillotine, and that was supposedly so wonderful because it was fast. It was fast, and so much more painless than say the other means of execution. But he said, well, but wouldn't it perhaps be even more merciful if the person was slowly put to death, because that that would give them pain to.
You know why they outlawed the guillotine?
Why?
It didn't work.
The guy did a experiment on it and made acquaintances with the dude who was getting ready to get guillotined and told him that, they wanted to experiment with consciousness after the head was severed from the body.
Yeah.
And after they cut the guy's head off and it rolled over on the floor, he hollered at him. And the dude focused on him, the head, and 12 seconds after it had been severed, that's when he hollered.
But anyway, well, the
fellow hollered, his head couldn't holler no louder. But there was still conscious in the mind 12 seconds after the head was severed.
I've always heard like the guillotine, it would, sometimes the blades wouldn't be sharp and it would just come down and cut halfway up.
Right.
You'd have to draw them back up and have to chop them again.
That'll get outlawed for that.
well, but anyway, what he was talking about was you talking about like this injection. I did read about that too.
Just puts them to sleep.
But what he was saying is, say even if the guillotine was just death right there and that's it, wouldn't he said it be the spiritual agony of knowing, having no pain but just knowing that in 10 seconds there's no chance. He said when you're being murdered by a robber, there's always that fighting chance, but just to see no chance, and just to have no pain but just know you're going to be dead.
Well, let's have to know they're going to die for quite some time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's just the agony. Yeah.
limited life.
It kind of goes in cycles. They have the capital punishment law, but then in certain eras they don't follow through with it, and they keep them on death row. They don't execute them. They end up spending life in prison, always under anticipation of possibly them turning the juice.
A new law being passed or something.
Yeah. But it seems that for the past 3 years that they've been executing a lot more people than they have been in the past decade. And I think it goes that way in cycles. They've been up on it for a while, but then they feel like they got to crack down again.
It's just this year they started executing people in
Gary Gilmore.
Yeah,
Right.
Utah, was it Utah? Or is that, was it the one?
Yeah, was it Utah or Nevada? One of those two. Utah, I believe.
What about that one they were going to execute down here? I heard they keep up with that. They were killing them. Didn't they kill one down here too?
Coral?
Dean Coral?
No, he was killed.
No.
Went in to kill him.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that.
There was a retarded dude that was here in Texas that raped some children, young chicks or something. I can't remember his name. But he got a stay for a while.
Well, you mean did he murder them too?
Yeah.
Well, McManus has been, when he was found guilty of it, they sentenced him to death by the injection. Right.
He was really a character, wasn't he?
Oh, what did y'all think of the Manson thing? Charles Manson. He claimed to be a spiritual guru or what have you.
I think he ruled a weak-willed people by fear.
So you think he was nothing more than a bully? Or
Well, no, I think he was probably
Pretty
some
put down.
kind of talent, but at the same time they were fascinated by it, as their leader or whatever. But I think he more or less had the control he had on them was about fear, because I knew he wasn't capable of that atrocities.
But I was saying that it was such another blight,
That was a strange situation.
Something like the way out and flip them out or something.
Well, that's
Smith, Dennis Wilson, Dennis and Brian Wilson.
yeah. It's actually two beach boys.
He was gonna kill Garcetti for too, Terry Melcher.
Because he would record him.
That's actually required to be counted.